Do you have any specific questions or anything before we start jumping into any material?
None at the current moment.
Sorry, I couldn't hear that. What was that?
Not right now.
Not right now. You said you guys are covering array lists and lists in class. So, like, how much have you covered on those?
So in our class, we started on arrays. We got a few things for that, and then we jumped to array lists for a brief moment, and arrays, I guess.
Okay, so it sounds like you guys haven't done too much on array lists.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you know like what the basics are? Like, what's the difference? Do you know like what the basic difference between an array list and a list is, or an array list and an array is?
So, not really.
Okay, so yeah, that's a good place to start then. So let's go ahead and look at the ebook. So I'm going to put that link into the chat window. So the array lists are a type of list. And so a list is pretty like lists in Java follow pretty closely to what you would imagine from real life. So what do you do with the list? You create things, you put things on, and they hold things in a certain order, right? So it might be steps of things to do, or some ranking, or anything like that could be put in a list. So the difference between an array, so when you have an array, you have certain restrictions, right? So how many things can you put into an array at one time?
As many as you specify, right?
Yeah, so the thing with arrays is you have to specify at the beginning. So what array lists are is it's very similar to arrays. There's a few like syntax things, a few things that are slightly different, but the main difference is that array lists allow you to keep adding things without even past a specified limit, which is pretty useful because then you don't have to, if you don't know how many things are you're going to put in your array to begin with, you don't want to just guess for the array, because if it turns out you need more, then you're going to have to like either copy it over or do something else. And if you make like a capacity in your array of like 200 and you only end up needing like 5, then that's kind of like a waste of memory too, but that's not as big of a deal. But yeah, so that's the main difference between an array list and an array. So I'm guessing you guys haven't talked at all about like interfaces and like the list interface. If you guys just went through it. It's called the list interface. Or have you guys talked about interfaces at all? Sorry, I couldn't hear that. Was that like no?
That was a no.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I won't go too detailed on it because but basically the point of an interface is it kind of tells you, it basically says, for any class, if it implements an interface, that means it does whatever the interface says to do. So the interface kind of will say like, hey, this is what a class needs to do. So for a list, the things that any list would need to do are they need to put things in some sort of order. They need to be able to like hold those things. They need to be able to remove things from the list. So that's any sort of list has to do that, right? So in a list, so the list interface, basically what it says is it just has certain methods that are like, they don't have any code in those methods, but they're just blank. They say like add method or like remove method and things like that. So then if you want to make a list, you can implement this interface. And what that kind of says um, is that you that this class that so if you implement that interface, then your class has to have add methods and remove methods. It's a little confusing, I know, from here. In some of the later pages, it goes. It makes a bit more sense, and plus, once you guys cover like inheritance and things like that in your class, it'll make a lot more sense. So let's just move on from that for now, unless you have more questions about that. Okay. So, and we can deal with this later. So these are the things, like the methods that are in the list interface. These are some of the most important ones. So the only real, so there's like in Java, there's like a couple of different types of lists. There's array lists, there's linked lists, there are stacks. For the AP exam, the only one that you'll need to know is array lists. So that's all we'll focus on. But any of those types of lists have to have all these methods. So let's go through some of these. So a size method, it's going to return the number of elements. It's just going to return the size, right? How many things are inside of it. So can you think of like kind of like the equivalent for an array? Yeah, so like for an array list, you'd use this size function. But if you wanted to know for an array how many things were inside of it, do you remember?
Dot length.
Right, exactly right. So it has an add. So all lists have an add function, which add an object to the end of the list or someplace in the list. It returns a Boolean. You usually don't have to do anything with that Boolean really, because most of the time you don't need to know, because it's returning true once it does it successfully. But that's pretty makes sense. You just want to, whenever you want to add something to a list, you use this function. So what would be like the equivalent for arrays? I'll just ask that for all of these, just so you get some practice with arrays as well.
I'm not sure for the rest of them.
So it's not really a function in arrays, but it's in general like how would you add something to the end of the list in an array, assuming that you're not like over the capacity of the array?
I'm not entirely sure.
So say your array is like, say you have like in your array you have it has like capacity like 50, right? But say your array right now is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, or something like that. How would you, and say it's named, it's called array R. So how would you add something to the end of that list?
Okay, so
Or to the end of the array?
would it be like R brackets, and then
Right.
like whatever position you wanted to put in. So, like,
Right. So what position would it be here?
the fourth one.
The fourth position for the end?
Like
So putting a 4 here.
off of indexes.
Sorry, I missed that.
Which part is off of indexes?
Which part is off of indexes?
Yeah, it's like the one that like starts at 0.
Right, yeah. So this one is 0. So it would be position 0. This would be position 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you're right about that. But we want to add this to the list, right? So
Something like the
we
next
want
spot.
to replace 7.
I want something like spot 5.
Yeah, so it'd be like say 5, right? But say say like we don't really know ahead of time how big this array is, right? Say that there could be like,
So like array. So it'd be like r dot length minus 1.
remember we're adding it past the end of,
I ain't past the end, so it'd just be r dot length.
yeah, exactly right. That's pretty good. So nice job with that. Let's talk about some of the other methods for lists. So here we have like a different type of add. So we're still adding whatever object you're adding, but you have an index as well. So based on this, do you have an idea what that would do? A second. Oh, whoops! The screen share did not work. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So we have a add method, but this one takes in an index. So, and it says move the current objects at that index. Whoops, sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think this add method does?
So so add index instead of changing the number that's at that value, it puts a new number there, it moves that value and all the values afterwards over one.
Yeah, right. So say your array was, actually, let's do this into an example one over here. 1 second, let me get that set up. So right now it's adding, it has, this is the, this is an array list that's holding people's names. So right now this is what's printing out. This is what the list is. But let's say we wanted to use this other type of add, right? Let's say we wanted to add your name in between Diego and Grace. So how would you do that?
So if you want to add your name between Diego and Grace, it would be at this, at the Grace one. So
Add it here, you're saying?
yeah, so it'd be at the first index.
All right, what was that? I missed that. What did you just say?
Okay, so it'd be at, if you want to add your name between Diego and Grace, it's by indexes, you put it between Diego and Grace at index 1.
At index 1. So something like this. Yep. See, so that's how that add works. It moves everything over. This would be something pretty annoying. This is another good thing about lists that would be very annoying to do in an array, right? Because you'd have to move everything over like one at a time, pretty much. So yeah, this is an example. If you want to have your like list an array sorted in a certain way, and you might want to add things later, an array list does it for you in an easier way. Okay, so here's another method. Get. So get at a given index.
Okay.
Sorry, let me give you a second more to just see the syntax. Right, so you can probably guess what that one does, how it works. Say that this was your, let's just go back to that here and do another practice for that. So say you want to know what's in the first spot of your list. So what would you, how would you figure out what's in the first spot of your list?
So the first spot of your list would be Diego. That's at index 0. So
Right.
it would be nameless.get and it would be at 0.
Yes, sir. Right. This will return something, so you can save it in a variable or whatever you need. But for now, I think you get the concept of that. And that one is like pretty similar. That one's something that is pretty much the exact same in arrays, right? You just would, instead of doing the .get, you would just use brackets. .set, a set is pretty similar, is pretty self-explanatory as well. You pass in and you have an index and an object. So let's say so how would you add, how would you change it from Grace to something else?
So if you want to change it from Grace to something else, it would be on so it would be like set to be nameless dot set at 1, and then whatever you want to change it.
Right. So get that out. That'll fix it. Do you have any idea what if you put like 6? Do you have any idea what it would do? Because right now it only goes up to index 2.
Would it be like an error or
Let me double check. I'm not actually sure myself. Yeah, I think it causes an error. I think if you did it one more, I believe that will work though. Okay, no, that'll throw an index out of bounds there. So if you want to add something, you can't use the set method. You have to use add. And then it removes from an index. So that's the last one. So say you want to remove Diego from this, how would you do the remove method?
then you do 0.
Yeah, right.
And Diego moves everything else.
Right. So yeah, that's another one that would be hard to do in an array, just because you'd have to move everything over by hand. ArrayLists still do that. It just they do it by themselves. They don't make you do that for it.
Yeah.
One thing that I probably should have mentioned earlier, if you want to make an array list, this is kind of how the format for how you do that. Because anything that's of type list, so an array list is a list basically that, so and it's like from a list, so you have to declare it as a list and instantiate it as an array list.
Okay. There's a list, you have your name, equals new, whatever type of list it is.
Yeah. So the reason why you would do that is because now, say I realize halfway through, I want to use a linked list, which is another type of list. Now I would be able to just change that right here instead of having to if I change it other places too. And that's kind of the power of lists as well, that list interface. I could change, like, linked lists and array lists act very differently, but it was able to, even though they work very differently, because they're required to do these methods, it was able to just swap them out and have it work. Okay. So let's do a couple of these multiple choice questions to make sure we're getting it. So let's see what this. Yeah. Well, so let's do this problem.
Would it be
Yep. I think that's right. Another thing. You can with this. What this basically means is you can, like, by default your list can, like, take in different things. So even though they're strings, I could have, you can do something like, so you would be able to add in things of different types. So, like, I could put strings and a number, and I could put, like, I could also add, like, a binary if I wanted to as well, I mean a Boolean. But if you don't want that, if you want it to only be able to add things of a certain type, you can limit it like this. So similar to how in an array you have to like give it a type, you can give it a type by using this format. You have to put these, like, kind of like sharp brackets after list and array list here. Okay, so let's about this problem.
one? Right?
Sorry, what was that? B, did you say? A. So remember, it starts from 0, right?
I forgot about index.
Sorry, what was that?
I forgot about an index.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I think you said it was D. And it'll be D because once that's removed.
One, two, three, six. So let's see. Voice one, 5, 2, 4, 6, 8.
Okay. Did you have any? Were you stuck somewhere, or do you have an answer? So I'm having a hard time hearing you. I think it's like pretty and coming through pretty softly.
Would it be
Say B,
D?
D.
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct. Right. That makes sense. Okay. Okay, so I think you got doing pretty well on those basics. I think you picked it up pretty quickly. One other important thing that lists are like arrays. Whoops. Why did okay? Lists are like arrays, so a lot of the time you're going to be most of the time you're going to be dealing with them. You're going to be wanting to like loop through it somehow or look at multiple elements with the same code. So let's go over how you would kind of loop through it, and it's pretty similar. You can do the I don't know if you know the like for each method. So it's like you say like for each string inside the list, you can do something. Have you seen that format?
I've seen it once.
Okay. Yeah. So that's an easy way to go through every element of the list without having to set up like a while loop or for loop. But so yeah, this example would be looking for a specific name. So looking at this, do you see how the how do you think the code kind of works?
So for this code, you have your name, and it goes through the name list, searching for the name. Once it finds the name, it will return true, but if it doesn't find it, it returns false.
Right. Yeah. So it'll take each element in the list, check to see if it's the right name. If it is, it stops the program and stops the method and returns true. Otherwise, keeps going, and at the end it hasn't found anything, returns false. So yeah, it's you can also do it how similarly to arrays where with like a while loop or for loop where you just go until the list size, and then from there you just keep on increasing the index in a for loop or a while loop.
Okay.
Okay. So which of these was like the major, as like a kind of review, which of these was like the major reason why array lists are useful over an array?
Unlike arrays, if you like add an element or remove an element or change an element, you don't have to manually go through and change everything else. It kind of automates it.
Right. That's probably one major reason. And then the other reason would be do you remember what the other major reason was? Major thing. It was that like arrays have like a you have to set at the beginning how big the array is going to be. So, but an array list automatically
Goes for everything you said.
Right. Okay. So it's hard to see everything. So this is kind of like a say you were trying to write a program that like did this following text. So we're gonna have to like reorder the code in such a way that it does that program.
So public static goes on top. So public static int would probably go first.
Yeah.
And after that would be the for.
This for loop.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then one of the if statements.
Okay. And you don't need to use all of these. So.
You don't need to use all of them.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, one of the if.
So which if do you think would go first? These two are else ifs, so they're going to go. One of these two at least will go later.
Yeah.
So between these two ifs, which seems correct?
Second one.
Second one. Okay. Then, so what happens if the word has length 3?
Add one onto the score. So needs else if score equals. So it'd be the score plus plus.
Right. Okay.
Have an else if of 4 is greater than 4.
Okay. So also if word length is greater than 4. Okay.
And then actually we need to put in score somewhere.
Sorry, what was that?
We need to put the score equals 0 before the.
So here, right. Okay.
So would you add for loop and then return score and then the message? Would you do that or would you put return score? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. But so what did you just say?
Okay, so would you in the for loop return score then in the method or return score then
So returns return score next, or sorry.
So it'd either be returns or for next or in the for loop next. So for length score plus plus else. So it'd probably be after the import, right?
Yeah, so it's going to be okay. So do the end for next? You're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, and then return score, and then and method. Okay.
Your code is too short.
So you have the case where it's equal to 3, and you have the case where it's greater than 4, but there's
Oh, if the
Also, this case.
before, I missed that one. So you'd have another else if before the second one.
Right here. Yeah, that's exactly right. All right. Was there any? We can do a little bit more practice, but was there anything else you wanted me to go over, or anything you were still confused about?
That was it.
Okay. We can do a couple more multiple choice questions.
All right.
Yeah, you picked it up pretty quickly, though. Good job. All right. I think we did this one already. So, okay. How about this one?
Okay. The following code assumes that okay, so what does it say? 0 0?
Sorry, what was that?
0 is just 0, right?
0, 0. Yeah,
So,
but where are you running into that?
okay, so non-side k if it's equal to 0, it removes k. So where k is 0, removes it. The first one. So you got the first one. So removes the first one. And k increases 1. Let it be. Would it be A then? A?
A?
This one's confusing.
Correct.
I.
Yeah.
It increases to 1, but there is no other 1. I can't remove anything else.
Right. Good job. That one was a bit tricky. All right. So, let's maybe just do one more, and then it'll be about time.
Okay.
Okay. So let's do this problem.
Process example. So finish with the case less than the k increases unless that.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the speed of some of these things much. So let me know if you're confused about that. But I think you could figure it. You might be able to figure it out just from some of the things we mentioned.
I don't remember what K, K would do.
So that was the like index add. So like the first number tells you what position to add in, and the second thing is like the actual object to add.
So the first one just says the index, so what would it add? Just add
Yeah.
the
So if you want to add it to like the second spot, you would put index 1, comma, whatever object you're putting in.
so would it be
So what was that?
process one isn't adding anything.
Process 1's not adding anything? Why do you say that?
So process one, you have K, so you have your index.
Remember, there's two types that add. When you give only one thing, it just adds that one thing. But if you give two things, it'll treat the first one like the index and the second one like the thing you're adding.
Oh, so okay, so in that case, if it goes increase constant, well, if it's like that, it's for with parameters. So if it's like that, then would it be I don't know if that has stands for that. Either A or E, I think.
So you think you think they produce the same result?
I think
Right. So why would they add produce the same result? Kind of. Do you think?
so. The first one, Sunless adds K. So
Mm-hmm.
add like A. So if K is 0, just add 0. Then increase to 1, and then you add 1. Then for the
Mm-hmm.
second one, it'd be the index 0, and it would add 0. So increase, it'd be at index 1, and it would add 1, which is like the same thing as the first thing.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly right. So you're just even though you're giving the index, you're just giving the index to the next one anyways in process two. So it's doing the same thing. So I guess the question is, which one takes longer?
Process 1 is one step, but process 2, like index and not the index. I don't know if that like add time makes sense for it to add time, which would make it be A.
Okay, so let's just go ahead and try those out. Um, uh, okay, I actually um, I think don't worry about this. Actually, I think this problem has an issue maybe, because this is like a new list, but the problem's assuming that there might be something in the list already. So kind of the problem's messed up a little bit. But yeah, you're thinking about it exactly right. So so I think in this specific case, yeah, they would take the same amount of time. Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. I was. So problem's correct. Basically, the reason why it takes extra time to do this like two thing adding method. Um, sorry, I was getting confused for a second, but it takes for this two number or like two input adding method. This will take longer if you're like, so say this like you started out with a list of like 10 and then you're adding to the front, then it would take longer because then you have to move all the other numbers over every time. Since there's no
thing, and
yeah
adding everything, then they run at the same time.
yeah. So if you kind of like did this backwards, maybe like if you started from the end of the list and you like yeah. So because there's not, if you started out with things in the list and you were just like trying to add to the front, then it would like move everything over. So in that case, it'd be faster to do process one, but in this case, the lists are brand new. Okay. So yeah, any last questions or anything? Otherwise.
So far, no. It makes all sense to me.
Okay. Well, then I think we covered everything we need to for now. So good luck. We're going to have a in-person session next Sunday on the 12th. So if you can make it in person, that'd be definitely worth checking out. I'm not sure exactly what we're covering there, but we'll probably cover some topics there.
So the in-person session is not the 5th, it's the 12th?
Yeah, I believe it. I believe you already had done like been to the like kickoff session, right? Correct? Yeah. So in that case, yeah, we're doing the in-person session on the 12th, I believe.
Okay. Because there's another kickoff, so the next in-person session is just...
Yeah, the kickoff session is just for new people who need to like start in the program. But
okay, and then okay, alrighty. Thanks. Okay.
all right, take care.
Thanks again.